I'm looking forward to interview my guest today, Elwood of Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. We'll talk all about how exactly you run a dog meat farm, how you get certified, and of course we'll also cover all the controversies associated with this topic. It's going to be a very tasty conversation, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Ecochat podcast. We discuss topics in conservation, animal welfare, and environmental science to learn how you and I can make a difference. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Well, I'm really excited to be joined by my guest today, Elwood of Elwood's Organic Dog Meat, which is, I believe, one of the only organic certified, sustainably raised, and free-range dog meat farms out there. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. We're local here, and we have, free-range, sustainable, organic dog meat.
This is a very interesting and potentially controversial topic because most people, they generally eat cows, chickens, pigs, right? So what got you started in producing dog meat?
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny. It's not actually my story. It's my husband and I, our step uncle. He started the farm back in 1981, and it was just something he was just doing for himself. He had a few dogs that he, regularly butchered and ate and bred. And he started getting a lot of sales through his neighbors. They were interested in trying it. And then he took it to the farmer's market, and it really kind of took off from there. So my husband, Landon, and I, our involvement was actually just maybe about 5 years back. We were at Thanksgiving and enjoying Rottweiler roast for Thanksgiving, as we do. And we might have drank a little bit too much wine. And we were like, you know what? We should really join the farm and help expand it because, we had been living in the city and we felt just really out of touch with nature and with just kind of being human. So we thought it'd be a change of pace to go, move out to the country and, plant some roots and, really connect the dots between where our food comes from and what we put on our table. So we joined up and we added it to social media, and we broke the mold of just being a quiet, small family farm. We went on social media and we've gotten a lot of attention. So that's where we are today.
Yeah, I noticed your website, your social media pages have grown tremendously. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
How many dogs do you have on your farm right now?
Yeah, well, it kind of fluctuates based on the season. On average, we have around 8,000 picnic breeds. Those are the small breeds. Those are, like terriers and chihuahuas. We have 300 medium-sized breeds. That's corgis mainly, and around 200 or so larger breeds, Labradors, St. Bernards, that kind.
Wow, that's a pretty large scale.
Yeah, it's still a family farm though. Some people wanted to say that once you get large, it's not the same, but it is still run by a family, so it's fine.
Nice. And what's the turnover like? Like how many dogs are slaughtered per day?
Well, again, also it fluctuates depending on the season, depending on if there's a holiday coming up. So we do produce around 500 picnic dogs a week, and about 20 medium to large dogs a month. So that's one of the things we're really popular, but we sell out really fast.
So you mentioned picnic breeds. So these are smaller breeds like Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, and then a few medium-sized dogs like corgis, and then a few larger breeds. So I'm curious, what are the main breeds of dog meat that you offer, and what would be your top 3 recommendations?
Yeah, so probably they're one of the same. Our top sellers are our kind of favorites. Labrador is our number one top seller. It is also the core of the farm. The steaks are amazing. It's you just can't get anything better than that. We do corgis, especially, I don't know, you eating corgi legs, but that is a fabulous dish, especially as I'm thinking like here, the Super Bowl is coming up. So we're really gearing up with a lot of corgis being prepped for that. And then pug bacon is also huge. We sell pounds and pounds of pug bacon at the farmer's market. We always sell out. There's always a line. There's always people waiting. That is fabulous in a pug bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. And if I can name a fourth one, just because it's so darn cheap, Chihuahua is the majority. If you want to go by dogs, the amount of dogs we sell, it's Chihuahua, hands down.
You're starting to make me salivate because I'm starting intermittent fasting, so I haven't eaten yet today.
Oh, no. So sorry.
So, yeah, when you mentioned pugs, my eyes lit up because I'm an absolute fan of pugs. And, yeah, they just seem to have the perfect fat to lean meat ratio. So, yeah, I think pug bacon would be just amazing.
It is. It's a great alternative to pork, too, just because of that leanness. It fries up really well. It still has that kind of indulgent feeling, but it is leaner and it is better for your heart.
On the topic of pug bacon, I'm curious on what's the difference in taste and texture between pug bacon and pork bacon. And same question for Labrador steak. What's the difference between that and beef steak?
Yeah, well, pug bacon, let's just say, for one, it is not. If you tried to make the switch from pork bacon to turkey bacon and you were just like, oh, this is awful, it is not that. It is definitely a lateral step, not a step down. Pug bacon is that lean, greasy balance that we love. You can make it crispy, you can make it soft, you can cook it any way you want. So that it has just that yummy, crispy, fatty, think of bacon, that's what pug bacon tastes like. It just, again, a little fewer calories, so better for your heart. When it comes to Labrador and steak, they are the same. You do have to cook them at a lower temperature just because of the density of the meat. But you can cook it rare. You can cook it well done. However you like your beef steak, you can do the exact same with a lab. Because it is, at the end of the day, it is meat. So, however you like it, some people might think that it might be more gamey or something, but these dogs are fed a vegan diet, which really evens out that flavor. And, we've done a lot of experimenting over the last 40 years with what we feed our dogs and to make sure that flavor is what our customers expect. And it is a fairly 1-to-1 with the steak.
So on that note, what do you feed your dogs?
Oh, they get a wonderful mix of grains, grasses, and fruits and veg. It's pretty interesting. Squashes, and dogs are omnivores, but we are able to feed them this vegan diet. Sometimes we try out, there are some vegan foods for dogs. It's just expensive on a large scale. So a lot of it, we go to neighboring farms and we get a lot of leftovers, stuff that was going to be going into the trash. Also, that is another thing, is a lot of food waste. We go to the restaurants, we pick up a lot of food waste. We make sure that it's separated by, so we're not feeding our dogs any other dogs or meat.
Got it. So I just want to jump back briefly to your recommendations. So you mentioned corgi legs, Labrador steak, pug bacon. Mm-hmm. Are there any other favorite dog recipes that you would recommend?
Oh my God. Just the other night we made my favorite mutt loaf. I know it sounds funny, but mutt loaf is ground lab. It's mixed with corgi and pug sausage. And it tastes just like you'd remember normal meatloaf to taste. It's, we put in, a lot of cumin, a lot of breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, some Worcestershire, a can of tomatoes, or crushed tomatoes, and whip that all up, bake it just like a normal meatloaf. And, all those flavors that you add, just make it, it's perfect. I love it, especially in winter. That's just like, you could make a giant mutt loaf and it'll last you the whole week. Mutt loaf sandwiches is great cold.
Well, I was leaning towards buying some pug bacon off your site, but I think you might have just sold me on the mutt loaf. I mean, yeah, there's so many options on the site. It's really hard to choose which one, but yeah, I think mutt loaf would be the first thing I would try out. Yeah,
it's great. You start with one and you just kind of eat your way through it and find out what you like and what you want to buy again.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So besides meat, are there any other products that your dog farm offers?
Yeah, we do golden doodle milk. Dogs do create milk just like cows do, just like people do. We impregnate them, we take their puppies, and then we make the milk. They make the milk. We just take it, and it's great in coffee, cereal. We do pasteurize it, but if you want unpasteurized milk, we can. That's a little, laws around that, but we can work around that with anybody who's interested. We also do eggs. We don't talk about it much just because it's just people laugh. But we do have Pomeranian eggs. Our uncle did some weird science and bred, and it's just the same as if they were creating a period normally, but they create it outside of their bodies. So
wow,
they're delicious. Yeah, I know, it's so weird. I really need him I need to get him. He refuses to be on podcast, but our step uncle really needs to talk about the weird science he did there, because I can't speak to it without messing it up. So
okay, maybe we won't go down the rabbit hole of dog eggs, but for dog milk, I'm kind of surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised because dogs are mammals, so they do produce milk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious, how do you milk dogs? Because I think most people are familiar with how to milk cows, but is milking dogs the same thing?
Same. They walk themselves to the barn 2 times a day. We hook them up to the machines. They're very patient. They want to be milked just as much as we want to milk them because they're pretty uncomfortable. So, we hook them up to the machines. Obviously, dogs create less milk than cows, but we price it accordingly, and people love it. It's really good for people who have lactose issues. For some reason, it doesn't affect that, so people can enjoy milk. They don't have to go with oat milk or soy milk or flax or peanut or cashew or any of the other gross plant milks. They can enjoy the taste of mammal milk that they know and love.
So I think you mentioned that they like to be milked. Otherwise, they would be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So could you elaborate more on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know any humans who breastfeed, but it's just like that. That your body's creating milk for your child, and you have to express it either fed to a baby or, put it in a machine. You got to pump it. So if you don't milk them, they will release milk. So they are eager. Dogs are, they're not as smart as pigs, but they do know what is going to give them the relief they want from the milk. So, and as long as you keep milking them, they give milk for, I don't know, probably about like nine months or so, until we have to impregnate them again.
Very interesting. So what breeds of dogs do you use for milk? And were they selectively bred in order to produce the amount of milk that you need?
Yeah, we do golden retrievers and specialty golden doodles. And it's just their milk just ended up being much creamier. Also, they produced a lot more milk. It's just that we did heavily breed them in order to find, whichever dog created the most milk, we bred them, with and bred their puppies with other, similar producing animals. So that way we get the most milk. So, because we also want them to produce for a long term, because the minute they stop producing milk, then, they're kind of a waste for us, and we have to put them into the, we can still sell them their meat at that point, but yeah, we did breed them for this. They are, and also just for the record, these are not pets. These are dogs that are bred specifically for meat or for dairy. So yeah.
Okay, so it seems like you've selectively bred these dogs to produce a large quantity of milk, right? So if you weren't there to milk them, then what would happen? Would they be just super uncomfortable?
I mean, if they probably would dry up and they would just stop making milk, just like a person. If you stop breastfeeding your baby, your milk will eventually dry up. So, we don't have puppies around. We get rid of the puppies after they're born. So there's no puppies around to drink that milk. So we got to get it out of them.
So when you say you get rid of the puppies after they're born, what exactly does that mean?
So just, I know it's a lot of people think that this is a horror story, but really it's a sustainability story. We have animals that we impregnate. They have babies. The females, they go into become dairy dogs. So they just enter right into the cycle, and it's fine. It's great to, we feed them actually soy milk while their mother, is being milked for us. And the male dogs, because these dogs are bred for milk, they're not good for meat. It's just the cuts are wrong. They're too lean, and also the males grow really big. And we can't really afford to feed. We're not a charity. So those dogs are killed when they're still puppies, generally for veal. And that's one of our big sellers in the springtime.
All right, fair enough. And I assume they do this for the cow milk industry, right?
Right.
Discarding the baby cows after birth. So why not dogs, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm curious. You place a very strong emphasis on being organic certified, humanely slaughtered, and free range. So what do those three even mean, and how did you get these certifications for your dog farm?
Yeah. Well, let's start with humanely raised, ethically raised. There aren't really rules or laws or standards for certifying those labels. It's pretty much up to us farmers. So since we love our animals, though, we definitely say it. So we do say that they are humanely raised, ethically raised. As for humanely slaughtered, the rules are just to be rapid and effective. Right. And that is so helpful just because it's not specific, and we don't have to follow any specific, how to do it. But, because we are humane and ethical, and we want to be humane, to meet this requirement, we harvest our dogs with a single blow or a gunshot or electrical shock or, some other means in order to slaughter them. But yeah, it is all done humanely, and right here on the farm.
Okay, so as long as it's rapid and effective, you'll meet the certification requirement for being humanely raised?
Yes, it's great. It's so good for us.
And does this apply to all farm animals?
All animals. Yeah, there's, there are no, in fact, there are very few rules about how animals need to be raised. The only laws are about transport, about how long you can put them in a truck. But because we don't transport our animals, for the most part, we do sell a few here and there. But we don't, the rules are made to help us farmers, be as effective and profitable. And we're really grateful for that. So, and what's great is it leaves it up to us farmers. And because you're buying from a family who cares, that's why you choose a farm like ours, because you want to make sure they care for their animals. They care for their dogs before they arrive on your plate. So you can trust, because we say it, that we do it.
Okay. But is there anyone from the certification system who actually comes to your farm and inspects and just verifies that your animals are quote unquote humanely raised?
No, there isn't. There is a, if we want to get it, we could get a seal, something that says, it's got a name on it, like Red Tractor or something. And, what's great is those people are farmers just like us. So they come out and they tell us you're doing good. And yeah, so it's fine.
Okay. Interesting. So, yeah, since you mentioned that it should be rapid and effective slaughter, I was just wondering, is there any instance where the dog doesn't die from this? And if so, then what's the protocol?
Just hit them again, we want them to we want them to be dead. This sounds really morbid, but we want them to be dead as much as they probably at that point kind of want it to be over. So,
right.
Yeah, hit them again. And sometimes, sure, especially with our picnic breeds where, we're, like I said, we are slaughtering a lot, 500 picnic dogs a week, which means sometimes they slip past, but that's rare. And you may see lots of videos and you may think that those videos are really old and they happen somewhere else. But they actually happen here. It's common. It happens on family farms. It happens on factory farms. And it's just the cost of doing business. I mean, if I feel like if people have a problem with animals, experiencing the miracle of, a full circle of life and death, they have to be willing to deal with the mistakes that sometimes happen.
Fair enough. Let's move on to free range now. So what is considered free range and how do you get certified for that?
Yeah. So the USDA requires dogs to have, some access to space outside of their shed. So we do that. We have our dogs are in a shed. They do have a door, and maybe an individual may have never actually stepped outside herself. Maybe the door is too far away. Maybe it's crowded. Maybe we, especially in the winter, in the summer and the winter, we have fans that blow over the doors. That, sometimes the dogs just don't want to walk through it. And I say that's on them. They could have gone out, but they didn't. So we're following the rules. And maybe you might have read that, free range dog farming actually raises the risk of dog-borne pandemics, but that's BS. And I just wanted to clear the air right now that, we do the free range aspect of our dogs is one of the reasons we sell so many and why we're doing so well is being able to tell people they have that door.
I'm glad you raised the topic of pandemics and diseases because I'm definitely eager to chat about that later on.
Yeah.
But just going back to the final certification here.
Yep.
So organic certified. So again, same question. What exactly does organic certified mean, and how do you get certified for that?
Yeah, so our dogs, that means our dogs aren't given antibiotics. So we don't give them antibiotics. So that means they're certified. Even when they're sick, like say when a dairy dog's udders get infected, we don't give them antibiotics. Medicated dogs lose their organic status. So we can't do that. But also no growth hormones. So that's good. As for how to get it certified, that was something that my step uncle did, and I don't know the steps.
Okay. So it seems like there's pros and cons to being organic certified then, right? Because on one hand, yes, you're not injecting them with growth hormones, which might mess up their health, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you have a dog which is sick, you can't prescribe it with any antibiotics or else you lose the certification. But then that means the dog might be more susceptible to death or disease.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So, but generally, we keep an eye on our animals, and if one is sick and it's progressing, we humanely euthanize, and it's just one of the sayings about farming is you can't have livestock without dead stock. And that's just, it's one of the tough things about being here on the farm. And that's something we didn't realize being in the city. We romanticized it. We're just going to come out and going to have some dogs. And we're just, once a month, we're going to quietly slaughter, a couple and it'll be fine. But, it is an everyday thing. We go through every day. We find any animals that didn't make it through the night. We find any that, maybe are too sick or got stepped on or, just couldn't access the water. So, but yeah, it's the life and death of eating farmed animals. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess, all the other meat farms are like this too. So I guess it's just a standard operating cost, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So who's your typical customer? Because, dog meat is a pretty controversial topic. So I assume not a lot of people would buy dog meat. So I'm just curious, what are the demographics of your customers?
Yeah, well, you know what, you'd be surprised. It's a lot of it's actually I can say it's like two groups of people. One, diehard locavores, people who want to eat local. We've got a lot of people who hunt, people who really they want to live off the land. They maybe they don't have they don't have the space to have their own animals, but they still want to have that feeling of supporting their neighbors, supporting their local communities. They buy from us. We've got a lot of our step uncles' friends and their, neighbors. This is a very much a community thing. We live and die by our community. So they support us at the farmers markets and stuff. But then we also have this. This is what our step uncle was missing, and why Landon and I really, helped out with Elwood's was there's a younger demographic that wants to also be connected with their food, and they're young, urban, they are affluent, they have the money, and they, this is the Whole Foods crowd. They were looking for grass-fed, hormone-free beef. They want cage-free eggs. They want this, harmony and peace on their plate. And, they're not really willing to, look up alternatives. So they choose a local family farm, and we're there to support them and, make sure that they don't have to make those sacrifices that some people make, by, going vegetarian or vegan or, pescatarian or something. Like we can help them feel good about the choices, and they don't have to change a single thing except for maybe their mind a little bit about dogs.
Yeah, I feel like there's a growing proportion of people who hope to eat more, quote unquote, consciously. So
yes.
I guess it makes them feel good to go for products which are organic certified or humanely raised, right?
Yeah. They feel really good about it. That's something that they tell us a lot. We do these DIY dog harvests where you can come and harvest your own dog. And there are some, that is definitely a select group of people. They want to go and they want to get their hands dirty, so to speak, and learn how it's done. But for the other people who they just want the flavor of meat, and they don't want to see anything that happens, it's enough just to see it on our label that we're doing good. And then they don't have to think about it, and they don't have to witness it, and they don't have to know every step. And we're here to do that for them. We're, doing the hard work so other people don't have to.
Yeah, it seems like a great marketing tool, right? All you have to do is slap these certifications like organic certified, sustainably raised, free range onto your products. And it's not too hard to get these certifications. And it's an instant magnet for these people who want to eat more consciously, right?
Yeah. People love it. People love just reading labels and feeling good about themselves. I think, that's what the marketing world is. So we are happy to put whatever label you want on our dog and sell it to you. That sounds kind of cynical, but,
All right. Well, let's move on to diseases and pandemics, since we brought that up earlier.
That's fun.
There has been a lot of diseases that originate and spread in industrial farms, such as like avian flu, swine flu, etc. So are you concerned that these diseases might also pop up for your dog farm? And what do you do with sick dogs?
Yeah. So this is actually a bit touchy. It's pretty close to home because we did have an outbreak of canine influenza at our farm, dog flu, back in March 2022. But like you said, this is so typical of what happens across animal agriculture since the beginning of time. It was funny, before joining Elwood's, I was at the Smithsonian in DC, and I went through a entire display on pandemics, and I was amazed to see how almost I'm going to be wrong on this percentage, but let's say 90% of all pandemics started with animals. AIDS, all of these things are caused by close contact to animals. So while that is problematic, at the same time, you can say it has always happened and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Like, there's nothing, absolutely zero alternatives to eating meat and eating animals. So, it's just something you prepare for. It's not something you prevent. So, yeah.
All right. And you mentioned you were hit with this canine influenza. So how did you handle that?
Yeah. So, March 2022, both our Chihuahua and Pomeranian sheds were hit. So we quarantined them and gently, took a little bit of planning, but we gently depopulated and disposed of all 8,000 dogs in humane, approved manner. And we followed the same USDA protocols used for bird flu. Our Pomeranians were quietly asphyxiated with firefighting foam. That way they just, drift off. And the Chihuahuas, they softly succumbed to heat stroke via ventilation shutdown, which you've seen them do with pigs. Both these methods are tried and true and humane and efficient. So.
Okay. And this is the USDA protocol for other farm animals, right?
Yes, 100%. We followed it word for word, line for line. It was tough. I will say it was tough, especially, the ventilation shutdown. We went in afterwards. Well, Landon did. I couldn't bring myself to do it, but Landon went in and found a few that had not died. And so he did have to shoot a few.
So ventilation shutdown, what exactly is that?
It's turning the heat up it like I said, it activates heat stroke in the animals, which is just, it's the most humane way to kill such a large number of animals. And it is completely, like, again, it is USDA approved. There's absolutely no controversy about it. No one is fighting it. Everyone, even veterinarians support it. They think ventilation shutdown, you can Google it and find out, this is it's fine.
Okay, so seal up the area, turn up the heat, and the dogs will slowly die due to heat stroke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So what about, you mentioned being asphyxiated with firefighting foam. What exactly is that? Yeah.
Well, it's just exactly what it sounds like. It's we have, like I said, if you have a shed full of 2,000 dogs, you can't, it's too much work for one person to, go through our normal methods and as well as the fact that they are infected with influenza that can pass to humans. So this is a dangerous situation. So, we just fill the shed with foam it's the exact same foam that they use for firefighting, for fires. So it's a foam, it covers the dogs and they, asphyxiate. It's, it's not scary to be covered by foam and asphyxiated. It's just, if I had to go, that's what I'd choose. I mean, I'd probably choose that over ventilation shutdown, honestly.
And where or how do you dispose of the dead bodies?
Well, it depends. I mean, the ones with the influenza, we do bury them on the property. We have a big lined, big thing of visqueen and line a big pit and fill them with there. And we just follow the USDA guidelines to make sure that there's no runoff eventually as the bodies decompose.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of slaughtering, and this is getting more and more depressing.
Yeah, it's such a downer.
Yeah, I promise we'll move on to lighter topics very soon. We just have a few more curious questions on this topic. One of which is, since the sense of smell for dogs is so strong, when you take them to the slaughterhouse, do they know what's going on? I mean,
they're dogs. They don't know what's happening. They trust us. They know us. They don't know. I mean, we keep them separated so that they're, we try to make it, especially the big ones, we make sure that they don't see the dog ahead of them. So, but other than that, no, I think that we try and personify dogs too much and think that they think. They don't think. I mean, like I said, they're dumber than pigs. I hate to be, to be like that, but they are dumber than pigs. They're we spend time with them every day. These are just animals. It's fine.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that it's scientifically proven that dogs are dumber than pigs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you eat pork, then why are you so upset about dog meat? I mean, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't help to ask questions like this because people are still going to eat them. So, I mean, how would you, I mean, people aren't going to change if they found out that, yeah, the dogs totally understand what's happening. They're going to eat the dogs anyway. So, I think I stand by that. They don't know what's happening.
Fair enough. So how does the slaughtering process work?
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with answering that, of course.
Yeah. You know what? I think we need to be more transparent, and, people want to know how their food gets on their table. And so we do have to, as a farmer, we have to be able to answer these tough questions. So I'll walk you through our different types. So how do you humanely and ethically slaughter a dog? It all depends on the breed. So, and I want to say first off that it all happens here on the farm. Every step, from birth to harvest, we breed them. We take care of them. They're harvested all here on the farm. Being in one place makes it so much better. Like it feels mentally better. So I just want to clear that up. They're not in a truck going to slaughter. I mean, some are, but most of them are here. So, our picnic breeds, our smallest breeds, the Chihuahuas, for example, are hung upside down. Their legs are gently forced into metal stirrups where they hang upside down, and then we humanely slit their throats.
Where did you get this protocol from? Like, do they do this with other farm animals?
This is the way you slaughter chickens. So, I mean, we actually bought an old chicken setup with the stirrups. We modified it to fit their paws. And it allows you to do large numbers at once. Like I said, that is the biggest. We slaughter so many chihuahuas day in and day out, because everybody needs those chihuahua legs for the Super Bowl parties. So, we can hang them up on this belt kind of thing. It's got the hooks on them, and we hang them up, and then you can just, as soon as their throats are slit, they're just taken right through the hot bath that takes the fur off of them. So,
okay, so we talked about the smaller breeds, the Chihuahuas, Pomeranians. What about the larger breeds?
Yeah, let's see. I'll go with our medium breeds next. They are electrocuted first. We take them through an electric bath, electrified water bath, essentially, and that makes them unconscious. And then they are similarly shackled, hoisted by their back legs, and then their throats are gently cut. So they are also unconscious when they are, again, killed at the end.
So, same question, is this protocol used for other farm animals?
Yeah, this is also something that is done with chickens. I believe it might also be done with ducks and maybe pigs. I can't remember which animals are electrocuted, but I do know that it is something that's commonly done with chickens too. This is good for corgis. They put up a fight, but they're good once they go through that electrocuted bath. They are, it's peaceful. It's very peaceful. So yeah, the larger breeds, it's a gunshot or a bolt gun rather to their head first. So they're like a Labrador is brought into a squeeze chute. They're held very tightly, and so that they're still, and then it's a bolt gun to the head that just, they are knocked completely unconscious, and then we hoist them up too, and ethically end their life with a throat cut. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've never been thrown in an electrocution bath before, nor have I gotten a gun pointed to my head. But I was just wondering, are the dogs aware of what's going on? Like, do they ever feel stress, fear, or pain?
I mean, it is so quick, and they don't know what's happening. It's not like they haven't watched videos of this. This is new to them, but, they don't know what's going to happen. And like I said, all these methods are safe, rapid, effective, and most of all humane. So, I mean, I don't know how it could be scary to be electrocuted, to be, to unconsciousness. I don't know how that could be painful. It's just, it's the circle of life, really. Yeah.
Right. And they're dumber than pigs, right? So I guess they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen have you ever met a corgi? But I'm just saying these animals are not, it's not, I mean, I don't think I could do this to a pig, but a dog, they're, and especially when you do it with so many, after a while, it's just, there's not a lot of feeling to it on the farmer's end, which makes it a lot easier.
Got it. And you mentioned harvest events a moment ago. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Like I said before, we do a DIY harvest event for people who are interested. We especially do this around Thanksgiving. And we do a little more rustic version of this. We're definitely not bringing people in and having them put the chihuahuas up on the machine. We have cones. You put the dog in the cone and their little head pops out at the end, and that way you can bleed them a lot cleaner and quicker, and it feels a lot better to do it that way. It's much more hands-on from beginning to end. And we actually have one coming up for Valentine's Day. I don't know when you're going to air this, but we have a Valentine's Day harvest coming up. So romantic, ends with a farm-to-table dinner for two.
Well, that's definitely a unique activity for Valentine's Day.
It's great.
So, needless to say, I would imagine your work is pretty controversial, right? Especially to people in Western cultures who, a lot of them might be pretty appalled to hear that you raise dogs for meat. So, what's your response to these people?
I mean, if you're going to eat meat, you're going to eat meat, right? I mean, they're raised for this. A dog is a pig, is a cow. It's really, I mean, again, we can talk intelligence. We can say a dog is dumber than a pig, but when you really get down to it, it's made out of meat. A dog is made out of meat, just like a cow is made out of meat. For you to draw an arbitrary line in the sand, not you, but anybody, sorry, it gets me worked up. If you're going to put draw a line in the sand, I mean, I don't know where you would. Maybe you would just draw it between you and animals, and then suddenly you're just eating lentils or something. So we get a lot of hate. I don't know if you follow us on social media. We get a lot of hate. We got a lot of death threats. We got a lot of phone calls. But, again, these are not pets. These are raised for it. It's the circle of life. And if we didn't breed them, these dogs wouldn't even exist. So, there are so many arguments for eating dogs if you're going to eat any meat. And there's so many arguments to eat dogs instead of other meat because it is better for the planet. It's better for your heart. They have a smaller carbon footprint than a lot of other animals. So, and again, you have the final aspect is like, if you're going to choose it, if you want to support local and you want to support organic and humane and ethical and all the things we've talked about, you want to support a farm like ours because we're doing it right. From beginning to end, we're saying the things that you want. So, yeah, I guess that was a rambly answer.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I do get your point. I mean, these people who are criticizing you, they kind of have double standards because at the same time, they are eating other meat like pork.
Right.
And as we mentioned, I mean, pigs are more intelligent than dogs. I mean, they're more sentient. They can feel emotions. They can feel pain, stress, sadness, etc. So, I mean, if they're okay eating pork, then why are they giving you such a hard time with your dog farm?
It's just, it's. I mean, it's the same. I feel like if you're going to eat meat, give us a try. So,
all right. Well, it's really hard to change someone's perspective. I mean, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, it's really hard, and they really need to change from internally. So, yeah. If someone is listening to this and they're still really disgusted, opposed to your dog farm, is there any resource you can point them to?
Yeah. If you go to elwooddogmeat.com/about, you will find a bunch of reasons to, change your perspective.
All right. So I think now is a good point to transition into reality.
It's a good spot.
We've been talking for like 30 minutes. We've been role-playing, and our audience is probably thinking, what the hell is going on?
Or they've left and they're writing a death letter right now.
Yeah. All right, so I think we can finally reveal to the audience that none of this is real. Okay?
No.
So there's no real dog farm. There's no dog meat. If you are still confused, I repeat, none of this is real. And if you felt upset, angry, triggered, Well, then actually you're on the right track because that's exactly the purpose of Elwood's organic dog meat. So, first of all, let me just do a quick reintroduction of not M. Elwood now, but Molly Elwood.
Hi, that's
and
me.
Yeah, she is the creator of Elwood's organic dog meat. So,
Yeah.
what exactly is Elwood's organic dog meat?
So Elwood's organic dog meat is a animal activism, animal rights art project kind of thing. I don't know what to say. Experiment. It is a website to help people walk through their cognitive dissonance about who they put on their plate and why. So it's elwooddogmeat.com. It's got social media attached to it. And it just guides people on a journey. They think it's real, and then they have to go to the website to find out whether it is. And it's there. They just got to dig a bit to find the truth.
Nice. And we'll definitely go more in depth about your project in a second. But I'm just curious, who are you in real life and what's your background?
Yeah. So my name's Molly Elwood, and I am a copywriter. I have a background in advertising. I've been vegan 7 years in February, and I'm just somebody who wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to do some activism it's funny because it was, I wanted to do some activism that didn't take so much work from me. I just wanted to make a website and have people solve, for veganism on their own. But now I do this full time, which is pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, and it's such a brilliant, attention-grabbing idea. You've definitely tricked millions of people, including myself, to click on your website and learn more. So, yeah, how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so it's funny. It really is as simple as I wanted a really good vegan bumper sticker, and I didn't like what was out there. My husband's vegan too, and we are sharing a car, and we were trying to figure out what is a bumper sticker we'd both agree on. And I wanted something like wishy-washy, vegan is love. And he wanted something like be vegan for the planet, for the animals. Here's some facts, some hard-hitting facts. And we're joking because the bumper sticker kept getting bigger and bigger. And then we'd been drinking, and we just thought, oh my God, what if it said Elwood dog meat and looked like we were selling it? And what if we just put a bumper sticker next to it that said, haha, why you mad? And then I decided to do that. I made a bumper sticker. It's funny because of all the things from this thing, I'm so proud of that. I made a big giant magnet for my car. It says Elwood dog meat. And then I built a website to go with it, and I built social media to go with it, and it went viral. And so now I run a dog meat farm.
Yeah, it's such an awesome marketing magnet because, a lot of vegans, they have stickers, but they just say like, go vegan or proud to be vegan. And when people see this, right, they either just ignore it or they roll their eyes, but it doesn't elicit any conversation or response. Whereas when they see organic dog meat, then most people would be like, what the hell's going on? And they're inclined to learn more.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it just reminds me of like my vegan journey was so much, I saw something that I didn't believe I was seeing. And so then I went online and Googled it and did all this research, and I put the time in. I didn't talk. A lot of vegans helped me get to where I, to that point. But I feel like a lot of people, for them, the journey is a personal journey you have to do on your own. And so I'm hoping Elwood's is like the first step for some people to have to dig into it.
Mm-hmm. So how much have you grown so far on your social media and on your website?
Yeah. So I launched this in July 2021, and we're recording this February 2023. So the website has had 2.9 million unique visitors since then. So 1.9 million in the last year. And Facebook has 73,000 followers, and Twitter and has 12,000, and Instagram 14,000. I have TikTok. I don't really do a lot with it. I'm one person. It's a lot to manage. Yeah,
you need to keep creating short videos, which is a lot more effort than images.
Yeah, and I actually found that I put a lot of time into videos, and they just don't get as many shares. And I think that there is especially so Facebook is kind of my bread and butter for that. That's where people share most things. And I guess I just think that the static posts look a lot more realistic than the posts like that are videos and require more, I think it might be too confusing to try and portray through video. So, yeah.
Did you ever have concerns that your project might backfire or have negative impacts?
Yeah, especially when it first went viral, it was that was very scary because it was suddenly out of my control, and I was like, "Have I thought through all of the implications of this?" And I did, and I came to the conclusion that I think it's doing more good than harm. That some of the common questions I get and I had, which was like, is this going to increase people's want to eat dogs? And I came to the conclusion, and I put it on the about page, which is, I don't think, one, it's not turning vegans non-vegan. So anybody who is that eliminates that. Anybody who's already eating meat is going to eat meat. If they're going to eat a dog, I mean, I would feel very bad, but to me, a dog is a pig. So I don't think it's going to influence, somebody legalizing dog meat in America and somebody opening dog meat farms. So there's that. And then, worried about any violence that could happen because of it. I have a lot of activists that follow me and, I have stickers and things and, the worry that something could happen to them when they're out doing activism. But I think that a lot of activists are, they're doing dangerous work. It's just, it is intrinsically dangerous to try and change people's minds about something that they feel so passionately about. And whether you're doing it with dogs or whether you're showing them, what happens on dairy farms, it's a risk we all have to take. And if I'm afraid to do something like this, I don't know. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I really like your point on how activism or just changing people's perspective is intrinsically dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So on that point, I'm curious, what types of responses have you gotten so far, either positive or negative?
Yeah. So I get a handful of responses. And it's interesting. So I'll start first with the people who know what it is. So vegans pretend to be eating dog meat, which is great. So all my comments are just filled with a whole bunch of vegans pretending to eat dog meat. So when a non-vegan happens into the thread, they are caught. I just picture it like a caught in a spider's web. And they're just like, wait a minute, what is going on? Who are all these people? And then they just immediately start fighting with people. And what's great is then I personally don't have to be there. And there are so many, I feel like it's just a bunch of, activists who are just waiting. They're just waiting for someone to happen by that they could engage in conversation. So that's really great. I have vegans who think it's real and they obviously are mad. And then I set them straight. I have a lot of non-vegans who, they think it's real. They think I'm farming dogs and they get very upset. And those are my favorite. I like sharing them. These people are having a vegan experience. They can get very emotional. I have had people go vegan or, at least tell me they're going vegan or exploring veganism because of this when they make the connection and figure out what it's about, which is the most powerful and the purpose of the whole point of the page.
Nice.
So it's fabulous. And I try and share as many of those as I can see, but it's hard because sometimes it's just happening in the comments on a vegan has shared it and now it's a conversation that people are having on their page. Or it's a non-vegan who shared it, who was like, what the hell is this? And they have that conversation there. But I do have a voicemail set up. And so sometimes I'll get those calls, and I shared on my YouTube channel a woman who called 3 times, and she was a veggie farmer whose husband was considering adding cows and chickens, and she was feeling uncomfortable about it. And she thought Elwood's was real. And then she thought it was a joke. And then she called the 3rd time and she's like, oh my God, I get that this is not a joke. And I have never considered veganism to be serious until this moment. And I was just like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So would you say the most impact from this would be like having a non-vegan see this and think, what on earth is this? And then click into your website.
Yes.
Where they're basically, they go through this funnel, this emotional journey, where they rethink their perspectives, and then in the end, they come out reconsidering their actions.
Yeah. And even if it's just planting the seed again, I think there's people who are reading this who have already considered veganism and they're already feeling uncomfortable. They're already making the choice to buy free range this or humane that because they care. I remember being that person. I remember just before going vegan was me standing in the egg aisle, upset that my humane, cage-free, ethical eggs were sold out. And I was like, what am I going to do? Just not buy eggs? Like, I don't, what do I do? So those are the people who will read Elwood's and be like, shoot, maybe I do have to do something. But then there are these other people who have never even considered it. And they see this and they think it's funny and they follow it. And then maybe, some of the posts I post are funny. Some of them are just boring. But every so often there's ones that are really real. And that person who's been following along thinking it's funny suddenly goes, oh, wait, is this based in reality? Because that's something I haven't said yet is all my posts come from farms. They're not made up. They are, I'd say 90%. 90% of my stuff comes from, I go through Instagram, I go through Facebook, I find posts by farmers that if you just replace it with a dog, suddenly it is horrifying. And that is it. And so some people see that and they'll message me and they're like, I realize now what you're doing. I'll post about a fire where somebody lost, my farm lost 300 dogs to a fire and, they all burned alive and everybody's like, ha, ha, ha. But somebody goes, wait a minute, did that actually happen? And I'd be like, as the dog farmer, I'd be like, oh, it's similar to this, this woman who all of her pigs died in a horrible fire so connecting the real life to this is another level.
Yeah, that's an important thing to note. So all your posts, all the info on social media, on your website, are based on what real farmers actually say, right?
Yeah.
But you're just switching the animal with dogs. Like even in our role play, everything we said about the certifications, about the slaughter process, it's really what happens for farm animals, but we just replaced it with dogs.
With dogs, yeah. And I might add, like for example, today I just posted about there's a big, and it's funny because there's really big things happening. And there's so much to cover that I find the post that pisses me off and then I change it. So I may not be the biggest issue of the day, but the fact that it's just happening all the time. So today there was there's a big ice storm that's happening in the south, and I follow a egg hatchery place that they're shipping out chicks for backyard chicken egg people. And all their boxes of chicks are now held up. They can't reach their final destination. So there's boxes and boxes and boxes of probably hundreds of baby chicks, and they're all stopped in places, and they are now just being delivered to random, hardware stores, and they're advertising being like, do you want discount chicks? We got to offload them. We got hundreds of them. And they're just, the fact that they were shipping animals live in boxes through the UPS or the USPS is crazy. And then to know that these lives are in danger just based on weather, they can't be delivered. So now we hope there's enough people in this area who are going to go and buy all these chicks and get them out of boxes where they will stay there at least until weather changes. And so I just took their post and I changed it. And the only thing I added was a person I follow on Twitter said a really good line. Let me see if I can get it. It is backyard chicken farming. It's just a kit you buy from a factory farm, which is true. You're going to a factory farm to buy your chickens to have your backyard egg experience. And so I just did backyard dog farming is just a kit you buy from a factory farm. And I'm like, dude, that's not true. We're a family. So yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. People just treat farm animals like commodities.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if people are aware of this or if they just turn a blind eye. Mm-hmm. But if you switch the animal to dogs, then suddenly it's a totally different reaction.
It's horrifying to hear that we have boxes and boxes of day-old picnic, they're only 1 day old picnic puppies that are just in boxes and come on down.
Why do you think people get so upset about dog meat?
Yeah.
Whereas the same people have no problem eating pork or eggs or other animals?
Well, it's shocking. I mean, we are so removed from our food. We don't see them. We don't see faces. We don't see paws. We don't see, or even let's say we're talking about pigs. We don't see ears. We don't see noses. We don't see tails. We see just meat. We have cut them up and made them so separate. I do think that farmers do show their animals, especially small family farms. They like to show them side by side. So that is happening to some extent. But I think that, we have dogs in our houses. We feel them. We feel their warmth. We touch them. They touch our lives. They are, we dress them. They're our babies. I personally don't have a dog, but this is what I hear from dog owners. That they have these, intense feelings. I don't know. And if like you pet a dog, and you feel their little thighs, they feel just like a little chicken thigh, and it is so close. It is like this sudden wake up. And to think somebody is doing that to dogs is horrifying. I mean, it's hard. It's hard being this far on the vegan journey and be like, why don't you see that with other animals? But yeah, I mean, people love dogs. The dogs are they're the golden animal. They're our sacred animal.
Yeah, and I think that's why Elwood's works so well. You're kind of hitting them with their own values using satire, right? And I think satire is a very effective way to get a message across, right? Because it's more light, it's less confrontational, less threatening.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I see a lot of posts from other animal rights pages which show, like, very literal content. For example, leaked footage of a slaughterhouse where there's, like, blood splattering everywhere, and it's horrifying, and people just don't want to see it, right? So they skip these posts. Yeah. And what this does is it makes the Twitter or Facebook algorithm basically unfavor that post because people aren't engaging in it. And so that post doesn't reach a lot of people because the algorithm isn't favoring. Whereas in your case, when people see a post about dog meat, then they're kind of inclined to, dislike or like or comment or share, but they're inclined to learn more. And because people are more engaged, this actually makes the algorithm favor it more. And so your post will be shown to more people. And I think that's kind of the reason why you went viral.
Definitely. Right. And also anger. Anger is a very powerful, it's one of the strongest, so it spreads the most on social media. So when I have, the posts that go viral are generally angering ones. They're generally a picture of a woman next to a woman with a dog next to a steak or something, and it says, "We just harvested number 845," and those are the ones that go viral. They have a person they can hate, the woman, and then they have the meat, and they're horrified. And a lot of people don't understand it, and they share it without reading it. They say, "What did I just read?" And then somebody else says, "What did I just read?" And it amplifies so quickly before anybody can stop it, that's what we want people to do with pictures. I mean, and what's so funny is we want people to do that with the farm that burned down from the pigs, but nobody cares. But you'll care when it was one fake dog was killed, and we're like, "Oh my God, the outrage."
Yeah, it's strange and sad for the farm animals.
Yeah.
So what advice would you like to share with our audience on how we can incorporate satire in our daily conversations and actions to raise more awareness about the meat industry?
Yeah, one thing that I think that works really well about this is it kind of removes the us versus them in this conversation, where we're talking about dogs. We're not talking about what you eat. We're talking about what I eat. We're talking about what happens to these fictional dogs. So ideas where you can talk about I'm purposely being vague because I don't have any big ideas right now about how to do it. But finding ways to talk about it without having the emotion in it. Unless you want them to have the emotion, and then you want them to have a big emotion that they have to chase down. And it has to be important to your audience. It can't be what's just important to you. And somebody who's never met a pig will not find a pig to be very important, but somebody who has met a dog or a horse or a cat or, whatever that is, that's a good touch point. And another thing I'd say is I do think the humor works a lot. The humor keeps it light. The humor keeps the conversation. I don't know. A lot of people think vegans aren't funny. They think we're very serious. And I mean, that it's true. I mean, I was trying to do stand-up comedy and I was very unhappy. I couldn't find out how to how to make jokes about veganism in a way that reached people. And so I was really happy to find Elwood's to do that. But finding a way to communicate your message in a way that's non-threatening, and I think that is through humor. And I don't know if I'm really bad at this. I'm more of like an artist and a creator. I'm not really good at like name dropping or like following trends of things that are going on. But maybe you know of some funny animal rights activism that's out there. I did actually just see if you look up Peppa is bacon.
Oh no.
I was talking with somebody who helped create that. And it is lovely. It is so good. It is Peppa. If you don't know, Peppa Pig is a child's cartoon. And they made a whole thing pretending like they were selling bacon made from Peppa for kids. like some brand had come up with that. So that's lovely. So stuff like that, that's, stuff that looks real too. That was like my last thing I was going to say is I think that kind of the success of Elwood's is doing I'd like to tell myself this is one of the reasons is it looks real. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to look like an ad agency made it. It looks like a family made it. It looks like somebody got on Wix, which they did, and designed something with some clip art. I mean, and that's what's also really very encouraging about this stuff is there are so many great tools on the internet to make things, to like try something out and put it out there. And does it stick? If it doesn't, make something else that, I know that I'm not the only activist who maybe doesn't want to go. I don't want to go into hold signs or protest in person. I feel like I'm a good writer. What can I do with that? So I know there's a lot of people who have a lot of skills, whether it's art, whether it's digital, whether it's, making videos. And we need all of these pieces to plant this. We need all of these voices planting seeds. And you're going to reach people, in so many ways, as opposed to just doing one thing. We need a million people doing a million things.
Yeah, that's a very powerful message. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable holding signs and protesting and prefer a more passive way to spread the message.
Yeah.
And so, like for you, I've noticed you have an Elwood's dog meat shirt on.
Yes.
You got the car bumper sticker. So, yeah, tell me the experiences you've attracted passively from just wearing these props.
Oh my God. So I have a tote bag that I like to carry. And I like it specifically. I like the tote bag because it only has the message on one side. So I can carry it when I'm feeling confident with it out. And when I'm feeling not so confident, I just turn it around the other way if I just want to like get out of there quick. My husband will sometimes wear a hat, an Elwood's hat. Again, that also made me uncomfortable because it's so much eye contact. I like wearing the shirt. The shirt is fun. The shirt is like, it's bold. And if people ask, I'm like, you should visit the website. You should check it out. They're like, is that real? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And I don't even have to engage. I just tell them to go to the website. But my husband was wearing the hat in a bar and the bartender was like, what is that? Is that real? And what's lovely is like, different approaches. So I will pretend it's real. I'll pretend it's real until they figure it out. But he immediately will say, he's like, oh, it's not real. This is activism. It's an animal rights activist website. You should check it out. And the person still has to go check it out because he's like, why would a man be wearing a hat selling dog meat in my bar? Like all roads lead to the website, which is great. And finally, I do have I had a booth at Vegandale. And so it was really fun having these interactions with people and just pretending to be a dog meat farmer and just asking them questions, asking people questions when they say, what is this? Why are you selling dog meat? And you can just ask, it's kind of like the Earthling Ed Winters type approach where you're just like, why does that bother you? You just ask them questions and they answer. You don't have to be that engaged with any emotions. It's lovely.
And what were some of the responses you've gotten at the Vegandale event?
Oh, they were. What's great is so Vegandale, it doesn't attract just vegans. It's, like 30% vegan and the rest are just vegan curious or even just health food. They like a food music festival.
Okay.
So I would say things, like they would say, "What is this?" And I would just go into my spiel like we did at the top, where I was like, "We're just right outside of town and we've got these dogs and stuff." And they're like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't I be serious?" And they would say things like, you're sick, you're awful. And I'd be like, wait a minute. Are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? And they would say no. And I'd be like, well, I don't understand. What's the issue? It's the exact same animal. And then they'd be like, wait a minute, why are you here? Why are you here at this festival? And I would say the same things that I said to you, things like, well, we know people want to make a change and they want to do humane things, but we also know that people don't want to change. They don't want to do anything. So this is a way to change without changing.
Right.
You can totally just eat dog meat and it's better for the planet and better for your heart. And then you don't have to learn anything new. And they would get it and they'd figure it out. And some people though would not get that far. They would be so upset they would storm away. And the great thing about that is there's some people out there then who think it's real, and then they have to go tell their friends, and then their friends come over and then they're like, "What are you doing?" So people who don't, it's great because people who don't get it talk about it. Nobody's going to keep to themselves that they saw a dog meat farm. So eventually people will find out the truth, and I don't even have to be there for it.
Yeah, and it's great that people get so emotional about it because, and I forgot where I learned this, probably in some psychology class, but people make decisions based on emotion, not on reason.
Yes.
So
yes.
Even if that person is a super logical, rational person, at the end of the day, most of their decisions are made from emotion. So yeah, this is super effective.
Yeah.
So based on your success on social media, you've obviously gone viral, you've attracted a lot of attention. Do you have any advice for us in terms of growth hacking or just how to leverage social media to spread a message?
Yeah. I find posting things, it's funny. I think this is really hard because I thought that people were all going to post. I thought vegans were going to be against this and vegans were going to share things and go, what the hell is going on? Like they would play along with it was real, but continue in their vegan voice of saying this is wrong. But they went along and said things like, check it out. Can't wait to get this. This is fabulous. And then their friends are like, why are you the vegan sharing this? So I think that there's the jig is up pretty quickly when a vegan shares it. So I think sharing, if you can find ways to share it anonymously, if you can find ways just to share it and be willing for other vegans to go, this is fake, right? Like for you to just be like, oh my God, what are they doing? I think that like, because I've seen that from meat eaters. When meat eaters share it, they say, holy cow, what is going on? They get the most engagement, more so than somebody who's like, corgi, it's great. So that's just one idea. And then I have all of these little free downloads on the website. You can also buy printed versions of them that I try and sell at cost and like leave behind cards and stuff. But I have brochures and leaving them places for people to find, even though that's just a one-on-one interaction with somebody. Like obviously social media, you can reach so many more people, but imagine, like I was in the car once, stopped at a train, and I had the magnets on the back of my car, and I watched them through my rearview mirror. I could see their faces. They went through the entire journey in my rearview mirror, took a picture of it, smiled, like tried to get my attention to smile when they figured it out. And knowing that person had that journey on his own, there's something special about that. That's where I think the art comes in, is like, this is a guerrilla marketing that has a one-on-one personal effect. And that one person, had a much more rich experience with Elwoods than a person who saw a Facebook post. And so I just saw somebody. So he, a fan of the farm, wrote an Elwoods ad, and he put it on a rock. And he and his partner went for a hike to the top of a mountain peak. And he's in Scotland, and he just put it there. And he's like, on the front of the rock, it said, if you can't go vegan, you should at least choose humane options. And then you turn the rock over, and he drew an entire ad for Elwoods and put it there. Now picture in the spring when somebody's hiking and they find this, they are going to remember it. This is not just a PETA ad. This is this unique personal experience this person just had that's just for him. So I like, even if it's not Elwood's, creating these little personal vegan journeys for people, I think it's fulfilling as an activist and adds something nice to the world, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, it's really creative.
Yeah.
So it's time to start wrapping it up here.
Yep.
What's your ultimate goal for Elwood's and what's next?
Oh man, I want to veganize the whole world or legalize dog meat. I'm kidding. No, I would love to keep trying to make a big impact, whether it's through, billboards or just, events and things like that. It would be awesome if everybody knew who Elwood's was, even if that means the joke is up, because suddenly it's still a conversation. So what's next now for Elwood's is I'm working right now on an activist page on my website. I've had a lot of people do dog meat tastings in their countries, in different cities and stuff. So they pretend to be Elwood's and they have these outreach booths that are, very helpful. So I've been sending them pieces, sending them the printouts and the design stuff. And so I kind of want to make it like a Elwood's in a box kind of thing. I'm also working with activists who are making Elwood experiences for their country that are specific, because, an American cowboy doesn't, fit in. So he doesn't blend in as well in, say, the UK or Portugal. So, right now, somebody has already made, and they're the only account besides Beyonce that I follow on Instagram, if you want to find them. They've made it in Finnish, and I have somebody, or in Norwegian. So I have somebody making it in Finnish, and I'm looking for other activists who are willing to create these sites in, Spanish and Italian, or in Spain and Italy and some other, countries as we come up with them. So that way we can try and reach more people, but in in this fashion that catches people unaware. I think, even if it's just for a year to try something like this, and inspire other activists to, build off of it and do their own thing. That's what I really hope for.
Nice. And like I said, it's a super effective marketing magnet.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can scale this internationally and take it very far.
Thanks so much.
So final question.
Yep.
From your experience creating Elwood's to going viral to interacting with so many people, what are the main lessons or call to actions that you'd like to share with our audience?
I just feel, again, it was just an idea for a bumper sticker, and it's just, I have a background in advertising. So the fact that I feel just happy to be here, that it worked. And so, but I think the takeaway from that is I think it's a Colleen Patrick Gaudreau quote, and she's talking about being vegan, where she says, you don't have to be perfect, just do something, do anything. And I think that that's the same as activism. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do something, do anything, do what makes you, what you're comfortable with, and, what's good in your heart.
Yeah, and sorry to interject, but this just reminded me of a quote. Mm-hmm. Imperfect action is always better than inaction.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly. Yeah, we need a bunch of people doing it imperfectly, whether that's even imperfect veganism, but also imperfect activism. We need people doing anything. So, yeah, I hope that, I'm hopeful that people will find inspiration in this stupid dog meat farm and we'll do something, especially when you have an idea, do it.
Well, Molly, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Please hand off to the audience where they can learn more about Elwood's organic dog meat or any other resources you would like to share.
Great. Yeah. So you can go to our website. This is what I love to share. Don't share the social media, just share the website. That's where that's the vegan journey is elwooddogmeat.com. That's ELWOOD dogmeat.com. I am on Facebook and Twitter as Elwood Dog Meat. We are always in character. We will not tell you anything about veganism, only dog meat. On Instagram, Elwood's Organic Dog. And you can, there's a lot of resources also on the Elwood Dog Meat website. The About page and the resources page. The About page will tell you, give you steps for veganism. Resources will have all of these, all the supporting evidence, science for the planet, for the animals, for your health, and resources. Finally, elwooddogmeat.com/FAQ. I adapted Earthling Ed's book, 30-something arguments about going vegan. And I have just kind of shortened it. So I don't have to fight with anybody. You can just send them there and have them fight with themselves. So that's great. So
nice. And you have a merchandise store as well, right? Where people can buy a dog meat shirt and attract attention.
Yes, it's I hid it. It's under the contact button on my page, but it's elwooddogmeat.com/shop. And that's also where you can get free downloads. I have free posters, I have brochures, I have cards. And shirts and mugs and anything to piss people off in your life. So
perfect. Well, thank you so much, Molly, for your insights, and best of luck taking this worldwide.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
That's it for today's episode of Ecochat. All the resources mentioned will be available in the show notes. If you enjoyed it, please consider sharing and leaving a rating and review in your favorite podcast platform. It really helps the algorithm to show our channel to more people. And with that, we'll catch you next time on Ecochat.